It's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to Q&A with the coach. I guess a bunch of you have been asking me, hey Ramsey, what do you think about that whole ordeal that happened between, what's his name, that influencer, Sneako, I believe that was his name, and Sean Strickland. So, who are these guys? We got a UFC fighter, well known in the martial arts community, and Sean Strickland, and who the heck is Sneako? Apparently he's famous, but nobody in the martial arts community knows what he's famous for. I'd never heard of the guy until a few weeks ago, not because of Sean Strickland, but because of Mike Buscemi. Mike Buscemi, famous grappler within the grappling community, apparently not so much outside of it, but apparently Mike Buscemi caught the attention of Sneako. He had a grappling match. They're going at it. They're doing their thing. And Sneako does that thing a lot of people who don't grapple and don't know how to fight do. And they make fun of grappling. And they're like, oh, jiu-jitsu's gay. Jiu-jitsu's dumb. I'd kill you guys in a real fight. Some nonsense like that. And Mike Buscemi took issue with it. He didn't just turn the other cheek and walk away or whatever. He made a video and he got mad. You saw this, one of the most soft-spoken sweethearts of a guy in combat sports. You saw him hulk out for a minute and challenge Sneako to a fight. Now, I didn't follow the whole drama, but I did follow enough to learn that Sneako did not accept the fight. And I thought, okay, well, that's that. That's just some noise on the internet. And then seemingly moments later, Sneako was getting beaten up by Sean Strickland in a boxing sparring session in a fight cage. And people start clamoring about it. And I start thinking, well, hold on a second. Is Sean Strickland coming to the defense of Mike Buscemi? Does he even know about that whole thing? He just doesn't strike me as the type of guy to follow drama on the internet like that. As far as I'm aware, Sean Strickland didn't even know who Sneako was. Just like the rest of us. If you know who this guy is, what the heck he's apparently famous or infamous for on the internet, please let me know. Actually, don't. I don't even care. I don't even care. It's like there are so many people who are famous for I don't know what, I don't care what, and internet fame is a weird thing. The term famous has changed so much in the last few decades. When I was growing up, to be famous, you had to be like super famous, like Michael Jackson famous. You had to be a rock star, a pop singer, a famous athlete in a major league, something like that. And now you can be some dude who makes videos on the internet and talks at a camera, and within a group of several thousand, maybe 1 million people, something like that, you are a big deal. And to everybody else, nobody knows who the heck you are. For those of you who watch my channel and come to my channel on a regular basis, you probably think I'm cool or interesting, or maybe you think I'm famous to you. You recognize me. I say, it's Ramsey Dewey, and you're like, yeah, it's that guy. I've heard that guy say that a bunch of times. I recognize his face. I recognize his voice. I recognize the sort of thing that he puts out there on the internet. However, I walk down the street here in Shanghai, and if people pick me out of a crowd, it's not because they recognize me from the internet. It's because I'm a foreigner, and they're like, look, it's a foreigner walking down the road. We don't see that every day because I live in China. So I kind of wanted to see Mike Buscemi fight Sneako because if you make martial arts content on YouTube, if you make martial arts videos of any type, you will get an endless stream of comments exactly like the things Sneako said to Mike Buscemi. Exactly like that. oh, jiu-jitsu sucks. If I fought you, I'd kill you. If we did this, then I'd do that. All of this nonsense. Ad nauseum. And so part of me wanted to experience that cathartic, vicarious experience of seeing a competent fighter beat the crap out of the dude who talks smack. I mean, wouldn't you love to do that if you could just beat up all those trolls on the internet and make them pay and make them, no, you suck. I'm not the one who sucks. You suck. Yeah, we all kind of want to feel that. And it's not a righteous desire, my friends, but it certainly is one that is very integral to the human experience. Very integral to the human experience. You could say it is ubiquitous to the human experience. That's a word I learned the other day by reading an article on Wikipedia and realizing I did not know what ubiquitous meant. But now, friends, now I do know that word ubiquitous. I'm trying not to hammer on this thing too much while talking, otherwise it's going to be a really monotonous drone of apparently I can't sing the rhythm and hit at the same time. And then y'all would tune out and say, yeah, the message is okay, but the bag, come on, man. Do we really need to do that again and 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 again? No, we don't. I tried that before, and I did a whole video hitting the speed bag for like 30 minutes while talking, and I got so many negative comments like, please never do that again. I wanted to listen to the message, but that drone in the background was just too much. Except this one guy who said, as an autistic person, I found that rhythm very soothing and relaxing and allowed me to focus on the message even more. And that was interesting. There are all kinds of people on this planet, right? Including people who enjoy tangents like these. Speaking of tangents, my daughter and I, my 11-year-old daughter and I went on a walk last night. And I started talking, and then I went on a tangent, and I used the word tangent to explain what I was doing. And she said, what does tangent mean? Send me that word so I can look it up and memorize it. That sounds useful. It sure is. Daughter of mine, it sure is. So, when you hear new words, learn them. What were we talking about? Sneako? Sean Strickland? How the fight we all really wanted to see, at least those of us who follow Mike Buscemi, was watching Mike Buscemi style on this dude who is not equipped to handle an MMA fight, certainly. What an interesting guy Mike Buscemi is, because you look at him from the outside and he's got the squeaky little voice and he's got the glasses and he looks like the stereotypical nerd, and he takes his shirt off and suddenly he is ripped beyond belief, and you watch him grapple, and if you know what grappling is, you're like, that's a dangerous man. Wow. Do not judge the book by its cover, friends. And that's what Sneako did. He judged the book by its cover. But then, I don't know how this happened. I don't know how Sneako ended up in this training facility with Sean Strickland and talked his way into a sparring match with this man, or why he thought that was a good idea in spite of being warned by the fighters there, hey, don't do this because you're going to get hurt, and he's a tough guy and he's going to hit you hard, and all the warnings, of course, and the influencer disregards it. Why? He wants content, I guess. Content. He wants to film stuff and put it up on YouTube. Because if you have a guy who I guess is kind of famous for one thing, and none of us know what that one thing is, and then he interacts with a guy like Sean Strickland, who's very well known because of his UFC career, and he's got a pretty modest following on YouTube as well. I guess the idea is if we cross paths with both of those worlds, worlds will collide and the numbers will explode. The numbers exploded, I guess. So what happened in this sparring match, fight, whatever you want to call it? Sean Strickland toyed with him, just walked forward, played with him, essentially like, yeah, you can't do anything. He can't do anything. Sneako's trying to punch, like, talking smack, like, in just a few moments, I don't remember his exact words, I'll paraphrase, in just a few moments, I'm going to hurt you real bad, and you're going to have a really bad day, and it's going to suck, and you're going to regret this, and there's nothing you can do to stop me, and it should be settling into your mind that you cannot hurt me. And watching the disparity of skill in just the fact that Sean Strickland is literally doing nothing for like 2 minutes straight, and Sneako is doing everything he possibly can, and it has zero effect. It is very, very ineffective. It reminds me so much of sparring with brand new students, and they're wild and they're crazy, but they're super predictable. And I've had experiences, especially in grappling, where I literally just hold still and do nothing, and these brand new white belts will defeat themselves. They'll throw themselves all over the place, and after a minute they'll be like, oh, that was so exhausting, and I'll be like, I literally did nothing. I didn't even move. And it's, people will defeat themselves all the time. It's nuts, man. If you're one of those guys, relax, keep breathing, observe those 2 rules, and your jiu-jitsu, your boxing, your fight game in general will improve exponentially. So, what happened next? So, when Sean Strickland actually started sparring back, when he went from, I shall just stand here and keep my hand up and poke you a little bit, to, I'm actually going to fight you now. Punch Sneako for about 10 seconds, and then Forrest Griffin jumps in and saves Sneako's life. That's what we call in the business a technical knockout. Technically knocked out because the referee stops the fight when one fighter can no longer intelligently defend himself, and so the referee must intervene to save that fighter from further damage, from being actually knocked out, or worse. Or worse. So, Sean beats on Sneako for about 10 seconds. People throwing towels. Sean keeps throwing the punches. Forrest Griffin steps in, pulls them apart. Was it Forrest Griffin? I think it was. Or was it Rich Franklin? I always get those 2 confused. You know how some people get Daniel Radcliffe, the Harry Potter guy, and Elijah Wood, the dude who played Frodo in Lord of the Rings. I don't think they look alike, but a lot of people get them confused. It's just like Rich Franklin and Forrest Griffin, they don't really look alike, but in my mind, I still confuse the 2 of them a lot, so I can't remember which one it was, Forrest Griffin or Rich Franklin. I don't even care. It was one of those guys. He's separating Sean from Sneako, saving this dude from a brutal beatdown, saving him from an untimely death. And the action lasts about 10 seconds. I should go back and count exactly how long that was. Actually, I don't even care. It was about 10 seconds of action. And Sneako is bloodied up. He's putting his guard up there. Sean is only throwing punches to the head, which is exactly what he said he would do before that match. He would only punch the head. Bah, bah. Why am I punching a concrete wall right here? Bah, bah, bah. I don't know. Makes less noise than this thing. So he's only throwing punches at the head, and then it's over. And then people on the internet start talking about it. He couldn't knock Sneako out. Correction, he didn't knock Sneako out because Forrest Griffin / Rich Franklin, whichever one that was, stepped in and stopped the action. Had that not occurred, and had the action continued past that 10-second mark, had we seen another 10 seconds of that type of brutality, we would see a dead influencer. Most likely. In that time frame, he was probably severely concussed. I mean, he did not look right, man. He did not look right. He had a look on his face that reminded me a lot of my first professional kickboxing match where I lost a decision and I was on the wrong side of a beatdown for 3 rounds. And I actually got some good strikes in there. I broke my opponent's jaw in that fight, but he landed a ton of punches. And I was not used to fighting with punches because I came straight from an amateur taekwondo background to professional kickboxing. And I didn't have a lot of boxing experience at that point in my life. And so like the whole getting punched in the face thing was weird and unnerving and jarring, and it threw me off my game. And oh boy, I remember afterward just sitting there with this look on my face like a thousand-yard stare, staring off into space like, what the heck just happened? That was not the way it went in my imagination. Weird. And that's kind of how I translated the look on Sneako's face afterward. But again, everybody's talking like, oh, Sean couldn't knock Sneako out. No, he didn't knock Sneako out. One more time. I mean, it's silly to pretend otherwise. Silly to pretend otherwise. We all saw what happened. We all saw what happened. We can try to pat the dude on the back and say, oh, good job. You did something brave. What is the difference between brave and stupid? He did something stupid, that's for sure. He's brave to do stupid things that are dangerous. It takes a certain type of grit and determination and will, force of will, all that stuff. But is it bravery? Is it courage? Courage has a positive connotation to it. Stupidity has a negative connotation to it. If you're doing something courageous, that implies you're doing something positive. For example, a courageous soldier in a time of war would charge toward danger to save his fellow soldiers and defend his country, presumably, something like that. That's the idea about it anyway, which is why we might talk about a soldier being brave and courageous. A firefighter enters a burning building at great risk of his own health and safety and life to save other human life. It's courageous. Why? Because no greater love hath any man than this, that he layeth down his life for another. It's a Jesus quote. It's a good one. I like it a lot. And it's true, because that's courage. But is it courageous when some internet prankster, influencer, whatever this dude is, does something really dumb and says, I want to fight this dude who, in his own words, and Sean Strickland's own words, is not a good person? Not a good person. I'm glad he recognizes that, because in my estimation, nobody's a good person. I'm not a good person. You're not a good person. I don't care what you think. You're not. And that's okay. We're not good people, but we are capable of doing good. Don't ask yourself, am I a good person or not? Because you're not. Are you capable of doing good in the world today, friends? Yes, you are. So focus on that. Have you done any good in the world today? Have you helped anyone in need? Have you cheered up the sad or made someone feel glad? If not, you have failed, indeed. As the old song says, yeah. Has anyone's burden been lighter today because you were willing to share? Yes, I'm still quoting that song. It's a great song. It's a great song with a great message because it's a message about how to do good rather than worrying about being good. I already made a video about that subject, but I did watch Sean Strickland's response video. He made a response video about this whole event, and the one thing I remember is he said, "I'm not a good person." And he owns up to that. And I was like, this guy gets it. This guy gets it. In context, he's essentially saying, I'm not a good person, so I'm going to beat this dude up when he comes to spar with me because that's what I do. That's the kind of guy I am. I get it. And it's kind of funny because everybody told Sneako that's the kind of guy he is. Everybody reported the news to him. But it didn't click. It didn't click. And why? Because people don't know until they know. He had no clue what he was getting himself into until he got into it. We don't know what fire feels like until we get burned. We don't know what fighting is like until we've fought. And we really don't know what fighting is like until we have lost and been beaten badly. If you're undefeated, it just means you haven't faced appropriate levels of competition yet. That's all. Remember Fyodor Emelianenko, great Russian fighter for a long time. Fyodor was undefeated. And in an interview, he was asked, do you think anyone can defeat you? And he said, of course they will. Eventually, I will be defeated because I will keep fighting. And if I keep fighting, then I will be defeated eventually. Honest man. You don't have to be a good man to be an honest man. So where are we going with this? Why do we care so much about this little spat that happened between this dude that nobody knows why he's even famous and this UFC fighter? It's a one-sided beatdown. It's a know-nothing dude who doesn't belong in a discussion, a serious discussion of martial arts, and a UFC champ just giving him a 10-second beatdown. Why do we care so much about that? There is, what am I doing here? Finger jabs? Snake style. I don't know what I'm doing. Why do we care so much about that? What attracts attention on the internet is so fascinating in regards to how stupid the content that is popular often is. Like, it seems to me sometimes the stupider the content, the more attention it garners. Like, if it's dumb, if it's really dumb, people are going to watch it. If it's extra super dumb, more people are going to watch it. If it's astronomically dumb, then we got somebody famous. Why is that? Do we just like watching stupidity to feel smarter, to feel better about ourselves? I don't know, man. I don't know. For those of you who asked me, and there were quite a few who asked me to review this whole event, why did you ask me that? Seriously, tell me. Ask yourselves that. Answer honestly. Don't try to give me a good answer. Give me an honest answer. And when you can come up with that, tell me, why did you want me to talk about this instead of say, oh, I don't know, share with you my actual area of expertise, teaching fighters to win fights, coaching you to improve as an athlete and a martial artist? Why isn't that your priority? doesn't quite add up to me. Oh yeah, you want to be entertained. Why do you put so much value on entertainment and so little value on, well, I don't know, education, personal improvement, doing good in the world today? I don't know. You just want those dopamine hits, I guess. I'm speculating. You give me your answers. You tell me what's up. Because you know, deep down you know. All that being said, if you have serious questions, leave them in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Now get out there and train.